Welcome back, my friends! We continue our review of Wave 2 of the Sonic Prime toy line with Gnarly Knuckles, the Knuckles from the Boss Cage maze. On the back of his card, we actually get a unique description. Gnarly Knuckles is extremely paranoid, convinced that all of his home-baked conspiracy theories are true. Okay, now they're just trolling us, because that really is just Sticks. They just took Sticks' personality and put it in Knuckles' body. I mean, he even has Sticks' fashion sense, like the green clothing made out of leaves. He even covered his clawed knuckles with thorns from some kind of jungle vine or something. Well, incidentally, in the new Yoke version of Knuckles also has brass knuckles on, which gives him 3 sharp claws instead of only 2. That's kind of an interesting theme that they have in common. But yeah, conspiracy theory Knuckles, this just furthers my idea that each of the Shatterverses should have featured a unique denizen that was more than just a distorted version of Sonic's friend, like having Silver in New York City, Blaze in the Nowhere Sea, or hey, Sticks in Boss Cage. Because damn it, I really like Sticks, and I don't know if she can work outside of Sonic Boom continuity, but she would have blended in so well in the Boss Cage maze, I'm just saying. Alright, let's get him out of the packaging and review this guy. So here we have Boss Cage Knuckles, which is the Gnarly. He's actually harder to stand than Sonic, if you wouldn't believe it. I think it's because his feet are so huge. They're so big, his hips aren't wide enough to give him a proper A stance, so it's like he doesn't want to stand flat on both of his feet at once, even though they are ball jointed like the other characters. He always kind of feels like he's on one foot, you know? He's not really on the other one. And just like the Boss Cage Sonic figure, his hips feel really limited. I can get really good range in certain directions, but forward, the shape of the body means that they go outward really well, but you're not going to get a lot of forward and backward with them. So I don't know, I don't think that this was the wisest way to go about making these figures hips. The way the hips are built on the 4-inch figures is actually better for range. They should have stuck with that. I can appreciate how this is helping out the arms, the elbows and the knees, but what works for the elbows and the knees doesn't work for the hips. As you can see, the shoulders are just regular pin discs, the same way that the 4-inch figures are. They should have stuck with that. Incidentally, this Knuckles is actually the easiest one to have his head turned that I've ever seen. It's not saying much, but I can at least get this far without having to flex past anything. And if you tuck his fist in, then there we go. See? Though it's a little awkward because you gotta thread his arms through the things, the dreads that is, to get him to do stuff. And because he's Knuckles, his giant hands are heavier, so it can be a little bit harder to get them into poses. You gotta make sure the joints are lined up in such a way that gravity won't be able to just pull them down like that. And I'm really not liking this hip construction. No. A regular hip would have been much better to get this guy. It would have been way better to get this guy to pose if he just had the regular constructed hips like the 4-inch figure. But you know what? When you get him into a good pose, it's a good pose. Yeah, that's the thing. These figures look great when they're in dynamic poses. So if you're gonna put them on display in cool action-oriented poses, it's gonna be great. If you want your figures to stand straight and display themselves at attention, it's gonna suck. I like how the plastic used to make his leaf hat is actually flexible and soft. Kind of wish they used more of this on his dreads. I mean, they're not the same kind of super stiff plastic that Sonic's dreads are made out of, but Sonic's spines are made out of. But yeah, they're still kind of hard. So they don't flex out of the way of his arms when you pose. So you gotta play around and thread. although everything still bends. You got the 90-degree elbows, the solid knees. There's ball joints and then our ankles. Ball joints in the wrist, or, you know, that pin disc that's set in a way that's very similar to a ball joint. And you saw how his head swivels. So, yeah. Super articulated, super posable. Very nice figure. Let's get a close-up look at that deco. Like, the leaf hat has, like, it's darker at the base of the leaves and gets lighter towards the tips. The little rope thing is painted out. You got the paint markings on his body, all look great in the right places. Little bits of molding in his hair decorations. They even got that little necklace he has. Look at that. Look at all that detail. Like, that looks great. Look at his feet, too. You can see where they're just like leaves that have been held together with rope and staples and stuff. This is the detail on these figures is just plain amazing. These figures look great. Even his face markings. So yeah, like I don't know if that owes it entirely to the fact that they're made in the 5-inch scale instead of the 4-inch scale, so you're able to cram in more detail. But yeah, it's a pretty well-made figure. It looks great. All these figures look great. But yeah, like, I guess the only thing I would have against him is that, like, Gnarly Knuckles is one of the least important versions of him. Was really looking forward to a Knuckles the Dread figure, because, you know, like, he's the main character from Nowhere Sea. Thorn Rose was the main character from Boss Cage Maze, and the rest of the characters are just kind of backup. But, you know, I guess eventually we will be getting all of them, so there we go. So yeah, like, I guess I'll conclude this little trilogy with the one that everybody really wanted to see, and that's someone who's very much the main antagonist, possibly even more than the Chaos Council themselves. So let's move on to the last review of this little series.